Hey there, and welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. I, of course, am Dave. There is no Andy or Kirk with me today as they are off doing other things for the channel. But today I am joined by the wonderful Adam Stanley, who is a remote drummer, session drummer, drum teacher, drum extraordinaire, and of course is the new drummer with Breed 77. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I've got lots of questions. Of course, I'm going to get to the Breed 77 stuff because that's exactly that's more about where I found out about yourself, because being a big fan of Breed 77 and speaking to Danny and talking to Paul last year as well. One of the things I remember talking to Paul and Danny about was like, so who's going to be doing drums? And they were like, and wouldn't tell me. So I was just like, come on, you got to tell me. But we're going to talk about Breed 77 in a bit. But I want to go back as a drummer myself. I love talking to drummers about how they got into drumming, what was the thing that triggered it, etc. So I want you to go all the way back in the time machine, back to when you first got the passion for drumming, and what turned you onto it.
Well, yeah, I think I was about 13 or 14 and went to high school, and I'd led a very sheltered life, and I think someone took pity on me and was like, dude, you need to listen to metal. And I was like, what's that? So it was like a proper clean slate, and he gave me a tape, like it was like a 5 times dubbed copy of Injustice for All.
Right. Okay.
And I'd never heard anything at all, and I just popped it in the car. I think I had to go and sit and wait somewhere, and I ended up waiting in the car for the duration of the album. So by the time my mother returned, I was like a different person. When I heard it, I was like, this is how I think in oral format, you know what I mean? And from there I was like, fucking cool. And then I went to that guy's house, and he had a drum set. He had like an old Hoshino Tama drum set, one of the red ones, if you know those. And I was just like, that's it. I don't know what that is, but I'm doing that. And so I'd go there to his house and play his fucking drums when he wasn't there. And I'd go home and I'd set my bed up like a drum set and I have like a lampshade and like a book for a snare, and just beat the shit out of the mattress. And I think I did that for like a year and a half, and then my parents were like, okay, cool, he's not going to stop. And then they bought me a kit, a secondhand kit, and that was it. I immediately started a band, I think the week after that, and then just I taught myself, picked up loads of bad habits, went to university, learned that I was shit, got better, and have been on the journey ever since.
Was it a case of you were just very naturally, rhythmically, when you got on behind the kit, it was almost like you picked up the sticks and you were like, well, that's obviously how I'm going to play it, and getting into a 4/4 drum pattern, AC/DC drum riff, that wasn't an issue at all? Whereas I know with some people who are not rhythmically naturally inclined to a drum kit, they'll do that, and then as soon as that first fill comes in, they're like, dun, 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 oh crap, I've lost the beat. Whereas some drummers just naturally can play it.
I actually don't know where it comes from at all, because I did the piano, so I enjoyed that, but I felt like I didn't know what the point was after a while, doing all the gravy stuff. I wish I'd kept it up, but I used to sit and kind of mimic beats on this guy's kit, and he got really annoyed, and he said, you'll never play this. And he sat down and did the classic that beat, and I just fucking did it. I literally, there was no thought in the moment, and we were both like, oh you can do it. And then I was like, okay, that's it. And then I had this I used to sit with all my tapes, and I would sit there and try and match up all the sounds. I'd be like, oh, that sounds like that drum and that one. And I didn't have a kit at the time, so I think it's just me being, I don't know, like some kind of Rain Man thing going on, just matching the sounds up, And then eventually I figured out that if you put headphones on, you could hear the drums moving around. And then I was like, oh, he's going that way. And then I sort of, badly taught myself fills. And then eventually when I finally got videos of, which were rare at the time, I could see what people were doing. Like Lars Ulrich was my first kind of, hero on the drums. So yeah, sorry, long answer, but there you go.
Okay. So what was the first kit you ever had?
It was a white Pearl Export.
Oh, classic.
80s one, yeah.
Yeah, I think we all had a Pearl Export at some point. Everyone has to have them, yes.
Yeah. I wish I hadn't got rid of it, because I actually kind of like them now. I put some pinstripes on it, and I like it's a good sound. Yeah.
And I always ask this to drummers: what was the first song? Because obviously, with every drummer, when you first start playing, you learn covers and you try and. For me, it was an Aerosmith song that I learned, and it was the one that first one that I could play from start to finish, play it all and nail it. What was the first song that you can completely do from start to finish, nailing it, including all the fills and stuff? Can you remember?
It was probably a Nirvana song. I think it was it was probably like all the way through with no fuck ups. It was the first song on In Utero, Serve the Servants. I think it was that one.
Okay.
And I used to try and play And Justice for All as well, but I could never get through the whole song. But I figured out how to do the main bit, the sort of odd time thing.
Yeah.
And I figured out how that went, you know. So like that was the first one I attempted on the drums. It's quite a bold attempt.
That was a bold attempt doing Justice stuff.
But you know what? Though, like I grew up in South Africa, and we weren't exposed to international bands. Like we didn't have, no one came to play. So we had our own music scene, which was kind of like it was a bit grungy, but then it was totally like something else. So a lot of those bands were like my heroes, and I would copy their stuff off their records, you know. So bands you've never heard of, I would sit and play along with that. So it possibly would have been a South African band actually that I mastered a song by. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I get into the talking about session works and stuff and the challenges as a drummer for that, I always, again, another question I love to ask drummers: shoes or socks playing? What's your preference?
Bands, the slip-ons.
Are you okay? Fair enough.
Yeah, because it's the thinnest sole possible.
Yeah.
I tried all the socks, and I tried in lockdown. I was like, I'm going to be barefoot guy, and then I was like, no, that sucks. Because like you know, if your feet
you start sliding after a while.
Yeah. So I swear by the slip-ons. I don't like having a big fat sole.
No.
I'm going to feel the pedal. You know.
So I use the I can't remember what you'd call them. They're like the beach shoes, the scuba shoes. They're just a very, very thin bit of rubber that go on the bottom. They just slip on like slippers.
Oh, that sounds good.
So they're nice and flexible. I can wander around at a gig before I go on stage and stuff like that. So I don't get crap all over my feet. But they're just these little flexible soles that you just wear for the beach if you're going swimming and scubaing, and so you don't get any sharp stones when you're walking around in the ocean.
Okay.
They're perfect for me for drumming because I can feel all the pedals and everything.
Are you on longboards or normal footboards?
Normal footboards.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just for me. I'm just I always used to be a sock guy, and then I tried playing trainers, and they're just too thick. I just couldn't get the feeling of what on the pedals for me. So that was my way around it. But yeah, I always find that really interesting to see where drummers go with the feet one.
Yeah,
only
it's really
drummers
interesting.
find that interesting.
I'm very interested in what people wear, and whenever I see someone with like skateboard shoes on, I'm like, what the fuck? How are you doing that? But you know, everyone's different. Like Thomas Pridgeon, he has like one sock foot, I think, on the kick drum, and then he has a shoe on the other foot, and it's weird.
Crazy. I've seen people playing it in heels and platforms before, and I just can't. That's where I'm just like, okay,
no.
You've just lost it at that point. I want to see you doing some nice little sort of swivel double kick stuff with platforms on. That's what I want to see.
Thomas Lang will do it, I'm sure.
I'm sure. I'm sure he would actually. He'd take it as a challenge. Okay, so session playing. I have to ask about this because it's not something I've ever done myself. When someone asks you to kind of go out and say, right, we need you to come out and do this show. We've got all these songs to play in this gig. What's the process for a drummer for yourself when you can find out about these shows that you're going to have to do, or a couple of gigs, or a song that you've got to do? What's your process?
Panic. No. I learned quite early on when someone did that. They said, "Oh, you're doing a festival on the weekend, and you've got 3 days to learn 14 songs." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it," because I like their band, and I realized that I had a good long-term memory. So I will listen to everything and maybe sort of tap along with it. But more recently, I've started writing up charts, not like super notation charts, unless there's something really specific. But it's basically like a grid page with massive numbers and text on that I find easy. So I can just go, that's 8 measures, that's a break, and I write it in big Sharpie, and I make sure that I do that possibly even before listening all the way through the song these days. It depends, but if you've got lots to do that, because the act of writing it down makes it go in. It's more fun to jam along with it, but it takes about 10 times longer. Yeah. That being said, with all the Breed stuff, I've done it the old school way, because I want to feel like I live in the songs a bit more.
Because that's one of the things I was going to ask about, partially for Breed, but also when you've done work with other bands and it's not just a programmed drum that they've used and they want you to play it. It's where it's a living, breathing. A drummer's been playing it. Like, this other drummer has written a drum track, and it's their baby. They've written these songs, like with on the Breed 77 albums. Those songs has some amazing drum tracks on there, and now you're coming in. How hard is it sometimes to be as focused to the attention of the original drum parts without putting your own spin and your own style? Because every drummer has their own interpretations. You have your own. You'll listen to a track and you'll go in your own direction because you have your own feel. You might be more prevalent on the ride or whatever it might be. So when you've got these bands like Breed 77, how loyal do you have to be to those drums?
Pretty loyal. Although sometimes what I'll do is I'll go in, if I hear something and I'm like, let's say it's an old album version, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that could do with an update. Like, not in a cocky way, just in like a kind of like a musical way. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that they would enjoy it if it felt like this, because you can hear when somebody's like not as far along in their career. So I'll go and watch a live video and see if the other drummer took any liberties, for example, or like if they were washing a cymbal out more than keeping it tight sounding, you know what I mean? I look for details like that, And there is a Breed song where on the recording it's very like tight ride sound, but live the last drummer, Joyzy, was washing it out, and I thought, oh, actually that sounds pretty cool. So I will look for ways to take liberties where if I'm like, I think this could be heavier, for example.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, when they play it live, they did make it heavier, so that's fine. But then there's also bits where I'm like, the guitar's doing that, I have to do that, otherwise it's just going to sound like we're playing slightly different songs, So yeah.
That makes a good point, actually, because I hadn't thought about this in the sense that even bands who have been going for a significant period of time, and I know Korn did this, where they didn't realise that they had started playing it, the live way that they'd been playing it was completely different to the album. Initially they did it, after like a couple of albums, they started just changing it live, and to the point where after about 10-15 years it sounded completely different to the album. So has that ever happened where you've had to learn a song, you've learned it off the album, got to a rehearsal to play it, and it's go, oh no, we don't play it that way anymore?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, and that's why I'm learning now to watch live videos with Breed. I'm like, because there's a few songs they do change, to make the show a bit more interesting. But like I spent a couple of years or a few years playing with this covers band, and they would send me stuff, and some of it would be like medleys of things, so quite technical. And then I'd rock up and they'd be like, oh yeah, we don't do that anymore though. We don't do that, but we do this instead. And you're like, oh,
You've just memorized this thing, and now you've got to try and unmemorize it.
Yeah.
Learn a new way.
But then it's good though, because once you get into that mode, you like hopefully get a little bit braver when that kind of thing happens, and then you're like, oh, it'll probably be fine as long as I don't like drop the sticks or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's trivializing it a bit, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Because you've also done some recording where you've done some songs for different people where they've approached you and they've asked you to record drums for a solo song or a track on an album, etc. How much involvement is there in the actual writing of those drums? Are they giving you like, here's the track with a click with no drums on it, or do they give you, here's a very rough 4/4 guide, have fun with it, or do they go, this is what we want, can you play that and record it for us?
All of the above. Although I will say there's always room to kind of do your thing and be like, I don't know. I'm just quite confident sometimes with my opinion, my musical opinion, because I do write songs. I'm not just playing drums. So I'm always thinking about all the bits and not just the drums. So sometimes I might go to them and go, I think this doesn't work as well as maybe this would work, and then they usually take it on board because it ends up being a little bit more collaborative. Yeah. There've been a few where it's prescribed, I want it this way, and most of the time I don't think that turns out as well as it could, because when I hear it back, I'm like, yeah, I can really hear like the kind of the decision making going on in the process. So I'm like, I know you wanted this thing, but it would have been more fluid sounding if we'd kind of
Yeah.
allowed things to just happen. But you know, most of the people who've asked me to play on recordings have been really, really like just do this, and then they'll come back with specific bits like, could you not do this here? Could you stop playing so many fucking drum fills? And you know, and things like that, which is really helpful because then I learn, and when you get to the end of the process, you're like, oh yeah, drum fills are like, they sound cool to me, but there's no purpose for a lot of the things that we think we're supposed to play. What's the purpose? Like, why are you doing it?
Does it serve the song?
Yeah, and that always changes as well. So you never have it down. You've always got to re-evaluate that with each track, I think. Yeah,
because with being in a band as a drummer, you have that creative process from start to finish where someone comes in with a riff or a couple of riff ideas and they want your input. So you have, and when you produce that album at the end, you have that real ownership of pride about this is the involvement. Do you have that same level of pride with the songs where you've just come in and been asked to provide the drums for something? Do you feel like that's something I've contributed for, I'm proud of that, or is it a case of it's a job, I've done it, it's not really me, it's fine, I've just done that job?
no, I do feel really proud of it. Also because I learned early on, my first recording experience in life was very bad, and I have the CD and I always listen to it and go, oh, the songs are good, but I wasn't very good at the time. And so because of that, I'm like, that thing lives forever, so you might as well make it good. And my favorite thing in the world is doing all these tracks. I love recording for people. It's my absolute favorite thing to do. And so yeah, when I say it's nice to step, it's like a painter, or maybe not like a painter, but like a what's a good, like an interior decorator. That's
right. Okay.
So they step back and go, fuck yeah, this house looks cool now, you know. It's like that kind of thing. yeah. Hopefully.
What about covers then? Because I noticed obviously you've done quite a few covers on your channel.
Yeah.
So why do you pick the covers you do, and then do you sort of just chart them out and break them down, or is it more of a case of you've got the time, so you just want to feel these songs? And because I noticed obviously I was looking at some of the Breed 77 covers that you were doing on the drums, kind of seeing how you went with those and sort of which interpretations you did, etc. So what's your approach to doing drum covers?
With those ones were more of an audition tape type thing, and Danny was like, can you just play over the songs just so I can show the guys, kind of thing. So he was like, don't worry about like nailing it, like exactly, just do your thing. So those songs I was like, okay, I'll just play it like it's my thing now, you know.
Yeah.
But if I do another cover, I do try and learn all the parts, like get all the details down. I pick them according to, like, honestly, there is skill level, of course, like, and it's kind of like stylistic suitability, you know. I know what I'm really good at, and I want to like draw attention to that. And especially if I do, like, I've done a couple of like, multi-instrument covers of other people's songs, then like I'm not so great on guitar, so that's my skill level tops out whatever song I'm going to do. Or like if there's I did a Sepultura cover because I can play some of that stuff, but then I got someone in to do the guitar solo, so you know what I mean. Like I'm usually picking stuff according to what it makes me feel like, and also can I just kind of pull it off, like that's basically it. But it's funny playing along with other people's drum tracks because it kind of messes with your groove a bit, because as soon as you hear a piece of music, instantly I feel like your interpretation just comes out like it's like lyrics. You will take the lyrics to be something, and it's the same with the music. I'm like, I feel the groove there, and I don't understand why that's happening. And sometimes it's absolutely perfect, and you're like, like Dave Grohl drum parts. I know he's not the most technical dude, but everything he writes is like, it's like perfect for the song. So then you're like, well, I don't even question that. But sometimes I'm like, why is that there? And I would do it this way. So I'm not doing as many covers now, because sometimes it just feels a bit like I'm trying to fit in this box that isn't like, I fit in the box. That's it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the approach is to, if I'm going to do it, I'll try and get all of the bits as close as I can.
Okay. So I've been watching quite a lot of the series on, was it Drumeo, where they
I love it. Yeah,
I love that, where they get the drummer in, they don't tell them the song, they don't know the song, and they play them the track without the drums. And get their interpretation. And some of the drummers' interpretations have been amazing because and that for me always shows you where their drum head goes.
Yeah,
what they hear and what they would do, and because a lot of people think drummers are very much these one-dimensional. We all play the same way, we all hear the same thing, and I'm like, we don't, trust me. We'll all hear. You give us the same riffs, we'll all play it completely different way on drums. Which is just it's great to sort of see. But I mean, even with a few covers I've been doing, I've been getting into the habit of just removing all the drum tracks and just having fun with tracks and just going, I'm just going to see where I would take this drum based on that sort of musical interpretation. So it's so much fun. Just, it turns into a bit more of a jam, but it's always fun to push your writing style, I guess.
I think it's like healthier. I mean, it's also healthy to try and pull off stuff that other people have done, but. I mean, you can't say one's better than the other because they're both about learning, but it's very healthy to like dive into a piece of music and like just almost reverse engineer it and just go, I just feel this here because, you know, that's inspirational, you know?
Yeah.
I think doing like a rote cover of something you could call educational and then inspiration is like something else. I mean, they do crossover, so you know, I'm probably just talking shit, but you know, that is the way I feel. I the creative thing for me is very like that's important to me at this point, really.
I think for one of the ones I do, the only time I ever do a drum cover where it's tried to do like for like is one where I feel like it's going to push my skill level.
Yes.
So it's something where I know that I generally wouldn't be able to play it. But I think it's within me, not where it's something that I haven't played and there's no chance of me ever playing it. Like I'm not I'm not a very good double kick player.
Yeah.
So as a non-double kick, I'm not going to go off and find a song that's just full blast beats the whole way through. I'm like, well, there's no point. I'm never going to get there. But I know, like I did a few Avenged Sevenfold songs because I was like, there is some real complex little bits in there by the Rev, and I'm like, I've got to give them a go. Took me forever to learn them and to get them tight, but it was something that I was really proud of at the end. But yeah, I agree. If you can, there's certain songs sometimes you want to kind of push there just to kind of push your own learning and your own skill level.
What's your favorite one of that Drumeo series, like in terms of the interpretations?
I like the interpretations. I've watched the ones where drummers pick up someone's song where they actually hear the whole song all the way through with the drums, and they have to literally mimic it, and how quickly they can chart that. I mean, how quickly they chart it out, and I'm like, how the hell have you learnt to play that song that quickly? That's insane. Just by ear, you're listening to go, play it through, okay, he's playing that, chart it out, right, let's play it. And I'm like, how Mike Portney did.
That's kind of like what I do. You know, that's kind of it's the same process. You're just going, let's do it as quickly as possible. Yeah, sorry, not to interrupt, but yeah.
No.
We were saying what your favorites were. I was interested to know.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's several on there, but I mean, I've just started watching more of these different ones. Even like I can't remember the piano player or keyboardist from Dream Theater just did one on piano, and he did one. It was and he just did this whole piano one, and I'm like, how the hell did you guys do this? I can't do that as a drummer. I'm very much a field drummer, but I could not do by ear, and I bow down to all superior drummers.
You know what? I think if you want to do that kind of thing, like even if you wanted to test yourself, you could like think of it as like a mental compartmentalization exercise. So you're like, okay, there's one of those and there's one of those, and let's say it's a rhythmic figure or a fill. Okay, you got the two things. Yeah. And you find a way to write it down so that you remember it fast, and then see if you can just kind of do it in the moment rather than being perfect. Just see if you can kind of get what you were going for as quickly as possible, because then I think that's a good confidence booster. I think that's So that's
something like that. I've got to do more work on it.
Yeah.
I have to ask, who is your current favorite drummer? Not who do you think's the best drummer, because that's all subjective, but who is a drummer that really you watch and you just like inspires you, past or present, doesn't matter.
Oh damn! I'm a little bit old-fashioned, but I actually really like watching Mike Portnoy play
Yeah.
that drumming thing because he just sounds really good and he looks really loose behind the kit. I don't know, like that's a really difficult question because I feel like I'm always trying to change what I'm doing to match somebody else's thing. I'll tell you who I aspire to is like compositionally, like Vinnie Paul, Dave Grohl. Vinnie Paul does stuff that I can't do, but it's the way he puts it into the songs that you can still take something from. Like he always made really good choices. Is what I mean.
Yeah.
Who I've been listening to lately? You really stumped me with this. Completely blank.
I had to think of my own beforehand. I was like, do I even have one? I have to be careful because it's a challenge.
Yeah. God, I watch so many drummers. I mean, Craig from Stray from the Path. I've been really enjoying what he does. I take a few things from him. I'm trying to think people I actually actively steal from. I keep going back to I go back to my influences. It'll be like Lars on the Black Album, and fucking Igor Cavalera, Jose from Incubus. Like these are the people that I like. A mishmash of those kind of things. Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah,
I have to say mine while I still because I brought mine up. Shannon Larkin from Godsmack.
Amazing.
The man's an octopus. His arms are just insane. I just love watching the guy, and it's just when he punches through certain things, he just knows when those certain hits have to come through and just punches certain hits in, which a lot of drummers don't seem to. And he's just very, very fluid. I like very fluid drummers that are not so regimented.
Fucking Morgan Rose from Seven Dust. That's I fucking love his drumming. Like that's fluid, like very fluid.
And great vocals as well when he wants to throw them in there.
Indeed, yeah. Well, did you have some more you were going to say? No.
I mean, Shannon's the one that stands out. There's a lot of drummers like Eloy from Sepultura. Is another beast. These guys are a metronome machine. So there are so many drummers out there I do absolutely love. But Shannon's the one that I could when I watch a concert, I'll just watch Shannon and just watch what he's doing and just go, "You're just so good." He's just such a loose drummer because it's not exactly overly complex stuff with Godsmack or when he's doing Ugly Kid Joe's and stuff like that, but it's just a very fluidic playing, which I really like. And it's also everything he does serves the song. Yeah. Which I like. It's not I'm not a fan of drummers that just put fills in every 4 beats. It's like just constantly filling and hitting cymbals all over the place. I'm like, just relax, chill out, man. Just sit in the beat, sit in the groove, and let everyone else do their thing and know when it's your time. Know when you need to accent. Know when you need to add some dynamic to the track. Don't need to put a fill in every couple of bars and just blast beats and stuff like that. Just chill out a little bit. Relax, guys. You're a drummer.
Yeah, exactly.
You're meant to be holding the beat, not just taking over and doing drum solos of the whole song.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about Breed 77. So I'm intrigued about how the Breed 77 gig came about.
It's like a long, it's like a years long build up type thing. So I have a band with my wife that we've had since 2009, and it's called the Mariana Hollow, and we're still going. We're not very busy, but we have done a lot of stuff. And the guitar player of the band was married to a lovely lady from Gibraltar who was friends with Breed. And so Richie knew them, I think especially Stuart, quite well for quite a few years. And then I joined this, we started this band with Richie, our guitarist, and he told me about them, and I was like, fucking no way. Like, I used to see Breed in like all the magazines that I would buy in South Africa, so I knew exactly who they were, which is really cool. And 1 Minute Silence as well, being another Gibraltar band. And then Richie was like, to cut all the detail out, Richie said, they've invited us to go on this acoustic tour because we've been talking about touring with them for ages. And we were like, wow, that's great. Like, obviously, like, very cool band and, got a great following. So we rehearsed up an acoustic set and they took us on this tour, and it was just really nice. It was like everyone got on very well, made good friends with them, and and then sort of saw them on and off. Like Danny would do the sound for us when we'd go and play at Intrepid Fox.
Oh yeah,
if you remember the old Fox, and
I
that
do
was
remember. Remembering
amazing.
all the different locations they had.
Yeah,
Seemed to be, every time I went to it, it seemed to be a move from one place to the next one. So
it's basically a case of me doing gigs and Danny's doing the sound. That's actually how it happened, because he'd always be there, and we would do all kinds of different things, and Danny would be there, and then I went and played. I didn't see him for a bit, and then played with this band called Lieutenant, and we went out and supported Cedar, who are friends of mine from South Africa. So that there's another connection there. And then Lieutenant did a gig, and Danny was doing the sound, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen you for ages, cool," And he was like, "Oh, the band sounds really good." And I was like, "Oh, nice," If Danny's giving me a compliment, then it must sound good, because he knows what he's doing. And then he put up just after that Heretic Order was looking for a drummer, and I was like, I fancy a challenge. I'll do it. Even though I'm not like really a thrash metal drummer, like that's not my thing. But I went and like learned a bunch of their songs, and then auditioned, and it was good audition, but I think it wasn't quite the right fit, and I think we both knew that. And then he called me and he said, "Yeah, I don't think it's going to work with this, but actually Breed is getting back together. Would you like to come and maybe try that out?" And I was like, "Cool." Yes, of course. I love that. That's much more my kind of wheelhouse. So that kind of went from there, and we just stayed in touch, and he stayed true to his word, and we got the ball rolling, and sent me some of the new songs that are in the works, which I probably shouldn't say too much about, but yeah, I started playing on those, and yeah.
Well, because I'm going to ask about those tracks, so you can say what you like about. So when I spoke to Paul about a year and a bit ago, they were working on tracks. And when I spoke to Danny about 6 months ago, they had tracks, but then they I think those tracks they just weren't where they wanted it to be. And they kind of were like, they're not going to release something just if it's just to get something out there. So I think they were reworking tracks, and they were only going to put stuff out if they were really genuinely happy. So there'd been a lot of ideas, but weren't quite where they wanted it to be. So I know that they hadn't got everything together at that point in time. So you've had, obviously, you've got the new single coming out in March, I believe. Which I know Danny has said he's going to send me a copy of it in advance so that I can review it for the channel.
Okay.
We have to make sure we have that done. But what's your involvement been as far as the writing? Because obviously I know the guys have been working on these tracks for a while now. So how much of that has been like, well, again, we've got all the drums written, or is it more a case of we've got some drums for a few tracks written, but the rest of it's in kind of guitar riff form with some vocal melodies and stuff, and we want your input now on the drums?
It's again a bit of all of that. I would say they're quite fully formed. Certainly in terms of like the feel and like some signature things. I'm like, I can see you want that to happen. Because some of the program drums are like quite specific in places. So I'm like, oh, okay. I think my role here is to be the drummer for the band, like just to be a good drummer for the band. I haven't written any bits of songs or anything like that. I feel like, this is at this point, it is their baby. Like they've had this for a long time, a very long time. And I don't know if it's really my kind of place right now to just step in and say, I think this and this is how this is going to go, or whatever, I'll say what I think, but I also won't like it's their thing.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I can hear where they're going with certain things, and I think only if something feels really not right will I kind of go maybe push the issue a little bit. But a lot of it is very fully formed. I've done a whole bunch of drums. Some stuff has changed again, while we've been going. So there's a lot of material still being worked through. I can't say too much more, but it's still evolving a lot. I think they really want to do the best that they can and put some like quite a nice diverse pack of songs out.
Because I know you're all quite dotted around, or you were last time I knew that, because obviously Paul wasn't over here and Danny is. So from a writing point of view, is it all very much remote working, tracking, sending tracks over to the people, and then? But I'm guessing with the drums, you're recording the drums fully, and then sending the drums tracks over. And
I send them the tracks, and then we went in with the first set of songs, and I tracked drums in a different studio, because my studio is good, but I think it was lacking a few things, and it's not a big enough space, I think, as well.
Oh, okay.
For what they wanted for the sound that they wanted. So yeah, we went and did them somewhere else. So what you're going to hear on the song that's coming out in March wasn't tracked here. It was tracked at a London studio. Yeah.
So the last question I have is, obviously, what's then the plan going forward? Not just obviously with Breed 77, although we obviously, apart from the single, everyone in that Breed 77 fan goes, so what gigs are we going to get a tour? Are we going to get? That's what we want to know. We want to know how many opportunities we're going to get to see Breed 77, but also for yourself, what else have you got on for the rest of this year?
I think there are Breed gigs being booked. Obviously, we did announce a couple of festivals now. There's one in the UK, and there's one in Spain in the middle of the year. And there's something else after that, and I think there's a couple of other things in the works that haven't been announced, I think. But I'm sure there's stuff that's being put together. So I can't say what it is, but there's stuff confirmed, and there's stuff that's in the works.
Still be
working. All I can say. Yeah. And then for me, I mean, I'm recording for people. I have a new job. I do have a day job. So I'm doing that at the moment because I have a family, so I can't always
rely on the rock star lifestyle.
No. Unfortunately, things change, you know. So I'm doing that. I work in marketing. Doing that. I have like function gigs here and there. I have my other band is putting out an acoustic album, because we've done loads of acoustic gigs and never put it to tape, and now we finally put it all down, and we're doing some promo.
What was the band again? Your other band?
The Mariana Hollow. It's not a very catchy name. I just call it TMH.
I have covered that band. I swear I've done a review of that band at some point on the other channel.
Really?
Yeah, that name rings a bell massively, and I can't remember why. So that's good. It may not be catchy, but it's stuck in my head when you said that. I'm like, I have definitely come across that band at least once before.
I left the band for a while, so they did have some other dudes playing drums for a bit. I don't know if you saw and I've been back in the band for about a year and a bit, you know.
Well, I've definitely come across them at some point. So it's a band at least I do know. So what's going on with that band then?
So that it's not a lot. We do the odd gig here and there. We did an acoustic tour. We seem to do a lot of acoustic tours.
Right.
alt prog metal band. Yeah. We toured with Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake, and he had Brandon Gibbs, who was in Poison, singing with him. So they were like a duo kind of thing, you know.
Was that recently you did that?
Ish, yeah. We played Black Heart in London with them.
Yes, I know that. I remember that tour. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that was really cool. And then because we got a new bass player at the time as well, and the whole thing was just like, this sounds really good. We really should record this now because everyone's busy. It's not a career band, you know. It's just it's like a passion project. So we've put it down. It sounds really cool, and we're gonna put that out. But that's totally different. Actually, I don't know. I was thinking about Breed acoustic gigs, and I wonder if they'd ever do them in the future, because you know it lends itself very well to that format.
Yeah, I can't remember. They've done it. I'm sure they've done one before.
Well, they've done it. We did a bunch with them, so
there you go. They've definitely done this one.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I'm sure they did one at Nambuka or something like that. They did one in.
Yeah, we played that. We were there. We played with them. We opened for them that night.
I missed the gig, but I do remember them doing that one. I was sort of so I do remember some of those ones. But okay, no, I think they should definitely do some more. So that'll be fun. But anyway, yeah, that's great. It's been great to actually talk to you, Adam, today. I can't wait for the Breed 77 stuff. Definitely going to be looking forward to checking out the new single. And obviously looking at my next opportunity to see you guys on the road, because if there's something local to me, I'll definitely be at it. Come and say hello to you all. But just, yeah, big thank you for talking to me on the channel today.
Thank you for having me. It's so cool, man. I don't always get to do this, so it's been really fun.
No worries at all. You have a great day. Take care.
You too, man.